Hi, everybody. JB here again. Today, I want to do a little program about local history. It could be part of a series if it was of interest shown there. Anyway, I'm calling it Did You Ever Wonder? And today's topic is what's that plaque doing there? I'm going to talk about a couple of plaques in town that we might just walk right by and not even realize they're there. The first one, the first plaque is out on Arkansas Avenue. If you're heading north off of Dixon Street going towards Maple, just past Lafayette in the middle of the Esplanade is this plaque dedicated to Will Rogers. As I pointed out, it's in the middle of the Esplanade. And to give you a little more orientation, I put this arrow in here to show you where Carnal Hall is, to give you an idea. That's up towards Maple at the end of Arkansas Avenue. Okay, so here's the plaque itself, and even though you can probably read it, I think I'll read it for you. To the memory of Will Rogers, whose heartfelt understanding of his fellow man made possible the planning of this avenue, February 1931. Now, Will Rogers spoke at the University of Arkansas in February 1927 and February 1931. Here's a picture of Will Rogers, one of the most beloved and famous humorists in American history. He had a local connection to the Lighton family. The reason I think he came here and he stayed with them every time he came. The Lightons are one of my very favorite families. I want to do an entire segment on them sometime. We got writers, movie producers, lawyers, just incredible people. Really interesting people. Anyway, Will Rogers' fourth film in 1919, it was a silent film, was based on stories written by the father in the family, Will Lighton. Like I said, the family is fascinating. The younger son, Bud, was a big-time Hollywood movie producer. Anyway, the mom, the wife of Will Lighton, was Mrs. Laura Lighton, and Mrs. Lighton is given credit for saving the Esplanade in the middle of Arkansas Avenue. It used to be much wider than it is now, and they wanted to get rid of it, and she saved that. And also, she's given credit for getting this memorial, this plaque put up for Will Rogers that we so frequently just stroll right by and don't even notice. Anyway, yeah, and also I'm sure you're familiar that in 1935, Will Rogers died in an airplane crash in Alaska with Wiley Post, the pilot. Now, the second one I wanted to do today was the plaque commemorating Sophia Sawyers Fayetteville Female Seminary. This beautiful home is right here at the corner of Locust. This is Locust on our left right here. See my cursor? And then you follow along around here. This is West Mountain heading down to the west to School Avenue and the Fayetteville Public Library. This beautiful home was the home of Wiley McNair Sr., who was the first Frisco agent in Fayetteville for the railroad. It's in the southwest corner of Locust and West Mountain, and it was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2016. Got an arrow pointing over here to this rock wall, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And over here, you can't see it because I'm not the world's greatest photographer, but that's the location of the actual plaque. And on a personal note, I might mention that in the 1950s, when I was a little boy and was a sickly little guy, this was the office of my doctor, Dr. William Fowler, a really fine man who kept me healthy and going. I appreciate him always. Okay, here's the plaque to Sophia Sawyer. The address is 305 West Mountain. I'll have to read this because it's really dark. 1839, 1860, it says at the top. Site of the Fayetteville Female Seminary founded by Miss Sophia Sawyer. Tablet placed by Fayetteville PTA, 1928. 1928 was the centennial year for Fayetteville, so there were just bunches of plaques put up all over the place in town, and this is one of those. A lot of you probably aware that Sophia Sawyer School, along with several others in the area, are always given as one of the main reasons that we have the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. And you might remember that the U of A, which was founded in 1871 and opened in early 1872, was originally the Arkansas Industrial University. Now this is a beautiful stylized drawing of the Fayetteville Female Seminary by William Cushenberry, who called himself Bill Cush a lot of times. This is thank goodness for this picture, otherwise we'd have no idea about the school, what the buildings were like, anything like that. So on the left here would be just about Locust Avenue, and down on the right it's getting pretty close to school, and you can see the mountains in the background there. One notice I've got down, it lasted from 1839 to 1862, the seminary. The plaque said 60. I've seen 61. I felt like 62 had more credence, so that's why I use that. Now here's Miss Sophia Sawyer herself, and you can see her dates there. She was a Congregationalist, kind of a devout person, and I mentioned there that she was prim, proper, and devout. And she came here with the Ridge family during the Trail of Tears. She had taught their family back east. And, in early 1839, she and the rest of the surviving Ridges came here to Fayetteville after all the men in the treaty party had been assassinated in, I think it was August 22nd, 1839. And she is buried over in Evergreen Cemetery as a nice obelisk. And I think her thing reads, "She hath done what she could," which I find fascinating. And now we get back to that rock wall. See this really cool rock wall runs down Locust to the south down the hill on the east side. It is possible, and if this is the original, hopefully it is, then it was probably built by Dave Smith, an enslaved man and a highly skilled stonemason, which would make that a fascinating part of our history, and I hope it's true, and it is very possible that is the original stone wall. We're hoping so. If you want to read more about Dave Smith, you can read about him in my friend Charlie Allison's book, A Brief History of Fayetteville, Arkansas, pages 55 to 57. And that, my friends, is that first little episode of Did You Ever Wonder What's That Plaque Doing There? Now, in terms of plaques, there are so many in town. We could do 1 million episodes, but I can do all kinds of different things. And anyways, if people like it, I'll keep doing it. So anyway, that's enough for today. Thank you. And as I always say now during this pandemic, be safe and healthy. So long.